Now, the energy which we are generating by the nuclear power plant is basically, is one of the costliest, you can say, the method for generation of energy. Okay, and we are not among such countries. We do not have so much of large reserves for this nuclear metals. Okay, radioactive metals. So we basically depend upon, you can say, the calculative reserves for generation of energy. Someone is there again, and that's why I wait for 5-10 minutes so that other people also join because they keep on joining in between. So I was discussing that this nuclear power energy is basically, you can say one of the costliest method to generate energy. And the nuclear fuel which we are talking about is basically depend upon the fission reactions and nuclear chain reactions. And we need a nuclear reactor for it. There are different types of nuclear reactor which work and generate energy. As far as we are concerned about the nuclear power stations in India, so we have most of the nuclear power stations in one of the every state. So at least one power station is there, and the capacity of those power stations are different. So to make this nuclear power generation a continuous thing, and we have different plants till the year 2035. The government has made different strategies to increase this nuclear power generations, and we are working on it. But it is one of the, you can say, the costliest thing to generate power because the thing is when this nuclear power is carried out in a controlled chain reaction, we get power. But when it is carried out in an uncontrolled manner, you know what that when that happens, that is nuclear bomb, etc. So such kind of things happen. Who's there now? Nitish is there. So back to the presentation. I request all of you to join within 10 minutes of starting of the class so that I can I am not being disturbed in the middle. So what is the history of nuclear power plants? The you know the If we talk about the history of our nuclear power generation, our first nuclear power plant or the reactor which has been used for generation of electricity was in the year 1951, and in the world actually. And it was in the collaboration with USSR, and we were not at that time fully capable of generating by our own. So, in the world, if we talk about the nuclear power generation, the three countries which dominated it was USA, USSR, and England. These were the three countries in the year 1950s. They dominated the start of the nuclear power generation, and that because why it is so, because they were developed countries and they have maximum of the reserves of the radioactive metals as compared to the Asian countries, you can say. So this was something about the history of the nuclear power generation. Now, what is a nuclear fuel? A nuclear fuel is a material that can be consumed to derive nuclear energy. So, the what sort of material that can be? The most common type of nuclear fuel is the elements that can be undergo nuclear fission chain reactions in a nuclear reactor. So, the elements which can undergo fission reactions in a nuclear fission reactions, actually chain reactions in a nuclear reactor, they are said to be a nuclear fuel. So the most common nuclear fuels are uranium 235 isotope and plutonium 239 isotopes. And all the radioactive elements, they cannot be used as nuclear fuel because it is not necessary that all the radioactive elements they undergo the fission chain reactions. Some of the isotopes of the radioactive elements undergo nuclear fission chain reactions, so they can be used as a nuclear fuel. Someone is there again. Okay. So we were here about the nuclear fuel. Nuclear fuel. What is a nuclear fuel? You should understood this by, so any element that is radioactive in nature and that can undergo the nuclear fission chain reaction is said to be a nuclear fuel. And the most common nuclear fuels are 235 uranium and plutonium, and not all other fuels are used in the fission chain reactions. Now comes what is a nuclear fission? We all have studied in 11th and 12th what are fission and fusion reactions. So whenever a radioactive metal is being bombarded with a neutron, okay, when an atom of a suppose uranium is bombarded with a neutron, it splits up into two lighter atoms, or you can say two nuclei, and it releases heat simultaneously. So it is an exothermic reaction. So it releases large amount of energy, and both as electromagnetic radiations and as well as the kinetic energy of the fragments. So in simple terms, what is a nuclear fission reactions? Whenever a neutron strikes an atom of a uranium, it splits up into two lighter atoms, or you can say it splits up into two nucleus, and it releases the heat simultaneously, and such reaction is known as a nuclear fission reaction because it is releasing the heat. It is an exothermic reaction, and it nuclear fission reactions releases large amount of energy as electromagnetic radiations and as kinetic energy as well of the fragments. Further, this nucleus which we have generated, it can further be bombarded with the neutron, and further they will split up into another nucleus. So it keeps on going. If we carried out this in a controlled way, then it can be used in our power reactors. But if this reaction is, carried out in an uncontrolled way, then it is, uncontrolled way, then it is used for nuclear weapons. It generates a large amount of energy, and I discussed on that day also that when we are talk about nuclear weapons, no country wants to go for a nuclear war because it not only destroys the country, the after effects of these radioactive elements they go for years. Like skin diseases occurs, okay, like cancer is there. So many diseases that occur, okay. So it is not that the whole country is being destroyed; the after effects are also too much. So what is a nuclear chain reaction? Chain reaction refers to a process in which neutrons released in a fission produces an additional fission at least for one further nucleus, and this nucleus in turn produces neutrons, and the process repeats itself. If the process is controlled way, it is used for nuclear power or electricity power generation, and if it is carried out in an uncontrolled manner, then it is used for a nuclear weapons. So you can see in the slide that uranium 235 is bombarded by a neutron and fission occurs. It generates 2 to 3 neutrons and 200 mega electron volt of energy. So if each neutron releases two or more neutrons, then the number of fissions doubles each generation. So you can see how many they can be formed, and the both things are possible. The reaction can be carried out in a controlled and as well as uncontrolled way. If controlled way, you need to understand this here. If it is carried in a controlled way, it is used for an electricity generation, and if it is in uncontrolled way, then for a nuclear power plant. Problem is there. So you people keep on coming. I request please log in with your college email ID. That would be nice. And if still it is not working, get it working. I don't know why you are in a third year and still your college email ID does not work. So we were here in a nuclear chain reaction. I was explaining you what are the nuclear chain reactions. So a chain reaction is something, a process which keeps on carrying out until and unless we do not terminate it. Okay. So if we talk about the nuclear fission reactions, if we terminate the process, it can be used for generation of a nuclear power, and if we carry out, in an uncontrolled manner, we use it for a nuclear weapons. And these days, most of the world countries they go for gaining this nuclear power, so that to make the country strong. So the country's strength is being, measured in the terms of how many nuclear weapons you have. You know all these things. You go through the news. So how many nuclear weapons we have, that shows the strength of the country. How many ammunition we have, that shows also the strength of the company. How is our air force is being progressed. All these things. Navy is there, army is there. So all these things are there that helps us to means you can say to show the strength of the country. So this is known as nuclear chain reaction. A typical nuclear power plant looks something like this. In a nuclear reactor, in this figure, you can see there is a chamber and there are rods. Someone is there. So in the chamber, you have all the controls. You can see the control rods. Now the control rods are made up of the radioactive uranium metal, and there is a pressure vessel. Now the fission reaction takes place. There is a water also. Water pump is also to controlling the pressure, and then there is turbine is there, a condenser is there, the tower is there, and turbine is further connected to the electric generator, and that at the end that transfers the power into the transmission lines. Turbine rotates it and transfers it to the generator, and then generator further transfers it to the transmission line. There is a cooling tower also. So because whenever this reaction is taken place, a lot of heat is being generated. So to cool down those heat, we use a water and a steam. Moisture we use, and to condenser is also being used. And water pump controls how much water is to be fed into it. Bhavna is there now. So this is a typical nuclear power plant, which looks the installation cost is quite high for this nuclear power plant and a nuclear reactor, you say. So once it's established, it can generate power for a longer time. What we need this uranium rods or any radioactive metal rods which can undergo nuclear fission reactions. Now, what are the components of a reactor? We will understand this one by one. We have a control rods. The control rods, what are these? These are the control rods. You can see the control rods inside the chamber. And now, what are the control rods? Made up of a material that absorb neutrons. So, which material will absorb neutrons? Radioactive materials. Okay. So, control rods are made up of a material that absorbs neutrons, and they are inserted into the bundle using a mechanism that can make them rise or lower the control rod, so they can be move up and down. So these control rods, they contain neutron absorbers like boron, cadmium, or indium. And second is steam generators. Steam generators are heat exchangers that are converted that are used to convert water into the steam, and from the heat produced in the nuclear reactor core. Either we use ordinary water. Basically, in this D2O is being used as a coolant. Ordinary water or heavy water can be used as coolant. Simultaneously, cooling is necessary for it. Otherwise, it will blast. Now, the third is the steam turbine. I'll show you again the turbine picture. This is the turbine. Okay, there is a steam, and this is a turbine, which has the blades and it rotates it. Now, a steam turbine is a mechanical device that extracts the thermal energy from the pressurized steam, and it converts it into useful mechanical force. And for this steam turbine, various high performance alloys and super alloys have been used for steam generator tube. Now, alloys won't go because they will be melted at such a high temperature, so we need a very high performance alloys and also super alloys that have been used for generation of the steam. So steam generator tubing is there, and the material which is being used is the alloys. Then comes your, a coolant pump. And this coolant pump pressurizes the coolant to pressures of the order of around 155 bars. And the pressure of the coolant loop is maintained constant with the help of a pump, and a pressurized unit is there. So this coolant pump is basically to maintain the temperature, you can see, and the pressure is also maintained almost constant. And with the help of that pump and a pressurized unit. Picture this. There. So the pressure is being maintained almost constant with the help of a pump and a pressurizing unit. Then comes your feed pump. So steam, these are, we are studying all the components of a nuclear reactor. If the question comes in the examination, write a short note on a nuclear power generation, then you need to write all this, because it will be a 15 marks question or a 20 marks question. So you need to, if you can make the diagram, that would be very good. And if you are not able to do it, you have to explain it in theory, all the parts of a nuclear reactor. Then comes your feed pump. So the steam which is coming out of the turbine, flows to the condenser for condensation, and then it is recalculated for the next cycle of operation. Means it keeps on moving. Okay, so steam is coming out of the turbine, it flows through the condenser for condensation, it is it, and then next cycle, same thing happens. And the feed pump circulates this condensed water into the working fluid loop. There is a whole loop, a circle is there. So the feed pump is there that circulates the condensed water into the working fluid loop. And six is a condenser. It is a device which is used to condense vapor into liquid. This you also know is known as condensation. So condenser is a device or a unit, you can say, which is used to condense vapor into the liquid. And what is the objective of this condenser is to reduce the turbine exhaust pressure and also to increase the efficiency and to recover high quality feed water in the form of condensate and feed back it to the steam generator without any further treatment. So this water is actually which we are using for condensation. It keeps on rotating like a cycle, and the process continues. So fifth one is the feed pump, then comes your condenser, and then in the end that comes your cooling tower. So cooling towers are, they are the heat removal devices, and they transfer the, waste heat to the atmosphere. So cooling towers are also connected to it, which wherever is the excess heat is there, they dissipate to the atmosphere. And the water that is circulating through the condenser is taken to the cooling tower for cooling and reuse. So what is the function of basically cooling tower? They are heat removal devices, you can say, and they transfer the waste heat to the atmosphere. And the water that is circulating through the condenser is then taken to the cooling tower for cooling and reuse. Now there are many types of nuclear reactors, and it can be heterogeneous also, and it can be homogeneous also. Heterogeneous reactor is something that consists of a large number of fuel rods. We have seen the fuel rods in the diagram. They contain a large number of fuel rods, and the coolant is continuously circulating around them, because whenever fission reaction is there, even a one isotope of uranium can release a large amount of heat. A heterogeneous reactor has a large amount of fuel rods with the coolant circulating around them and carrying away the heat released by the nuclear fission. And in a homogeneous reactor, the fuel and a moderator are mixed. They are mixed, and it is normally a salt of uranium, and we use uranium sulfate or nitrate dissolved in a moderator like water or D2O. So moderator here is water or D2O, and the salt of the radioactive metal, that is uranium sulfate or uranium nitrate. As I already told you, for undergoing the nuclear fission reactions, not all the radioactive elements are eligible. The radioactive elements which can undergo the nuclear fission chain reactions, they can only be used. So we have two types of nuclear reactors, heterogeneous or homogeneous. Now further they are divided like boiling water reactor. It is, in short, it is called as BWR. Pressurized water reactor, PWR. Pressurized heavy water reactor means we use D2O in it. PHWR is there. High temperature gas cooled reactor, at HTGR is there. Liquid metal fast breeder reactor, LMFBR is there. And shore turbine generator plant, common to all types. So these are the types of the nuclear reactors which we use. And we had already gone through how a nuclear reactor works. So once again we will revise. We use a metal which undergoes fission reactions. Like if we use 235 uranium metal, fission occurs by bombarding a neutron, and it further produces two neutrons which initiate on average, and one more fission takes place to make a controlled chain reaction. Again, I'm telling you, if it is not controlled, then it will be used for nuclear weapons. And normal water is used as a moderator to slow the neutrons, since neutrons take longer time to pass by a uranium nucleus and have more time to be absorbed. And the protons in the hydrogen is present in the water, have the same mass as the neutron and stop them by a billiard ball effect. Now what is a billiard ball effect? When we play a billiard and we hit all the balls with the cue ball, they dissipate. It is something like that in all the directions. So that is known as billiard ball effect. And the extra neutrons are taken up by the protons to form the neutrons, and this uranium-235 is enriched from 0.7%. We take it from nature, and 3% to produce the reaction. Now boron control rods are inserted. One is there. People keep on coming, and I get disturbed in between. So we'll wind up further. So this boron control rods are inserted to absorb neutrons, and when it is time to shut down the reactor, so they basically are inserted to absorb the neutrons, and the reaction is over. And the hot water is boiled or sent through the heat exchanger to produce steam, and the steam then powers the turbines. So this is how a nuclear reactor works, or you can say this is the working of a nuclear reactor. I hope it is clear to you now, because we have done it twice. Now there nuclear power is the status of the nuclear power. We are the fourth largest source of electricity in India after thermal, hydroelectric and renewable sources of electricity. If we talk about 2017, we have 25 nuclear reactors, and we were generating 4780 megawatt, while the other power plants were generated. They were under construction, and they will generate 3153 megawatts. So Indian nuclear power industry is going rapidly, and we are working towards it. That our target is around 64,000 megawatt to be generated by 2032, and the country is being involved in the development of all clear fusion reactors, and it is under the ITER project, and as a global leader in the development thorium-based fast breeder reactors. So we are trying to use the process of nuclear fusion also. And why we go for this fusion is much more dangerous than fission, and so it has to be carried out in a controlled way. So we are working on that, and if we are successful in that, we will be able to generate around 64,000 megawatt by the year 2032. That is our aim. So these are now you know the types of the nuclear reactors, as I already told you, and these are some of the locations where we have the nuclear reactors. They in some places they are still working, and in other places and they have stopped due to various reasons. And